Hey, welcome, Lovetuner friends and family. We got a lot of questions again, and I'm always happy to answer them. And yeah, first of all, let's tune in. Whoever has a Lovetuner, take your Lovetuner out and do a quick tune with me. And who doesn't have a Lovetuner one, first of all, get one, but just sit in and connect to the frequency that we are producing and this web of love, and everybody counts. So let's do one tune with me.
Take us back to the moment the idea for the Lovetuner came to you. What were you going through, and what made you believe a single tone could change something?
It was nothing that was fundamental to my life. I never had like a spiritual awakening that was tremendous out of a near-death experience or something like this. My journey started gradually. So I was a swimmer when I was a teenager. I was, without knowing already, very connected to breathwork and whatnot. I always was an outdoorsy guy. I grew up in Austria. Nature was a big part in my early childhood and also my teenage years, and it never left me. So this was actually the fundament what I had. And then later on, when I moved to the States, I started meditating. And a couple of years into this journey, I got introduced in a sound bath actually to 520 hertz. It was a guided sound meditation, a breath work, and we have been playing the 520 hertz frequency. And this was the most profound meditation what I had at this time. This is now nearly over a decade ago. And and it stuck with me. And the idea of the Lovetuner was born. And an old friend of mine that unfortunately passed already was working on it, and he came to me at one point, and I think everything fell into place. Like my skills as a designer with my architecture background and producing products was the beginning of the product itself. But little did I know back then that it's becoming my own personal journey, and I did not know what I'm even tapping into. So because everything is frequency and vibration, and especially the frequency of 520 hertz has so much mystics around it, and it's so powerful. And it started as a love and peace movement. What it still is, it's way more than just a product. And more importantly, it's something where I still believe when we connect from our head into our hearts, that we as humanity can awaken, and each and one of us is important. And this is still the core theme of Lovetuner, is bringing community together in more loving togetherness, basically, and connecting on a heart level. And I think for the future, this is also the only way to overcome separation and unify.
You come from a design and art background, not wellness. What made you leave that world to build this?
I think it happened gradually. So I was always drawn into creating, and creation never left me. So I always, whatever I do, whatever I touch, I like to do it. Like whatever, last week I built 5 tables out of like an oak tree that we had to cut down. And this kind of creation, I think this is multifaceted in my life. So I think it gradually happened that I was gravitating to more depth. Like it's something what creation actually accelerated within me. And I got a little bit bored about designing, and and I'm always happy, about beautiful things, and I like to see beautiful things. But I think it became a little bit too shallow for me. And also on this path, when I started tuning and tapping more into my spiritual journey, it also gets a little bit lonely, but not on a way that makes you feel lonely, but you're losing friends, you're losing connection, you're raising your frequency. And I think that made it also only possible for me to go forward, because if you see, you cannot make it unseen. And if you feel, you cannot make it unfelt. So I'm kind of like stuck to continue on this journey. And the slogan, what I wrote on our product at the very beginning, it's still in our boxes and everywhere. It's called One Journey, and this is what I'm believing in. So I think gradually when you go through life, whatever profession you have, at one point, if you're lucky enough, you find something that really touches your heart and you follow it. So it's not like, okay, I dropped designing and I went on to a wellness, well-being path, but it's just gradually. And I think with raised consciousness, you also achieve better lifestyle. You just get more in tune with yourself and with the world around you. And as Carl Jung says, if you look on the outside, you become a dreamer. If you go inward, you awaken. And this is something that resonates with me. And obviously then you make small adjustments in your lifestyle, and gradually it becomes bigger and bigger, and everything makes sense. You live a more healthy lifestyle, a more conscious lifestyle. And I think from my journey, I can encourage everyone, because what we all have in common, we're getting older and we have the certain decades in our life. And where I am now, it's a decade of wisdom, and it's very liberating when you follow this. And if you miss this window, like you're really 10 years older and you didn't learn what you should have done to actually embrace the second half of your life. And this is the journey that I encourage everyone, like, to get out of superficial stuff and really start digging deeper, because if you don't find it, it's gonna get not lonely on the outside, but lonely on the inside.
Was there an early moment when you used it on yourself and realized you had built something bigger than you expected?
I was traveling between Europe and the East Coast back then a lot, and also sometimes to California. And when I relocated like 20 years ago to California, I picked up meditation. So I learned it from a shaman, and I had my guided animal that followed me. And I think at one point that really helped me a lot to also manage stress and just sink in. I meditated every morning. When I was on my beach runs, I tried to meditate every night before I went to bed. But the lifestyle was so different, and it for sure helped me, and it gave me exactly this reset what I needed. And when I did this guided meditation, this breathwork class with the 528 hertz tone, what the person played back then over a speaker, and the deep breathing exercise, it was something that was so profound that it literally took me to a place where I've never been before. And I experienced this a little bit, and like some clips in my meditations before, but this was so fast, and the whole session was maybe like 50 minutes, and it was so deep. And I came back and I go like, wow, this is what I really want to explore, because it's not that it was consciously, it was literally more like, what happened to me? How can a frequency touch your heart? How is this even possible? And this left me an imprint that I consciously could not even explain to myself. And I think this was actually what hooked me to it. And I looked for it from a very pragmatic point of view. I said, how can we make a working product? How can we integrate this? How can we make this accessible? But I think the driving force behind it was this first moment of really letting go and letting this frequency take over and guide you. I think, and this is, regardless if you buy a Lovetuner or if you find another way to connect to this frequency, important is that you have a pure tone, that it's not playing through a laptop, not from YouTube. I think then you can embrace it and you can feel it for yourself. And what a lot of people don't know is actually that the 528 hertz was for a long time our regular C note on a musical scale. So music was for centuries actually in harmony. So the A tone was 444 hertz, and this made actually the C tone, the C note, at 528. And when the musical scale got institutionally changed, like about nearly 100 years ago, it happened that the A tone got lowered from 444 to 440, and this made actually this note disappear. the feeling and what the 520 hertz frequency did to me, not consciously but subconsciously, was the first trigger. And then at one point when you integrate it, you recognize one thing, especially with the Lovetuner, because you guys all know how it works. So you do this conscious breathing break, you connect to this frequency, and on a spiritual level you invite love in your life. So but what this all means is, when we understand energy, frequency, vibration, the Lovetuner really starts to heal traumas on a cellular level. And this is way more important than a spoken therapy, for example. And this is what I felt gradually. It literally, touches not only your heart, but it really restructures your entire cellular system. And the 520 hertz frequency is also understood the miracle tone or the DNA repair frequency. And yeah, this is what I really embrace. I mean, a lot of people and my friends knows that I had a very bad accident about nearly 10 years ago, exactly 10 years ago. And I cut an ulnar nerve here, still have a long scar here. And everybody told me I'm gonna be crippled for the end of my life. I will not doing my paintings anymore. I will not surf and whatnot. And I used this frequency, and within half a year, this nerve regrew, and I was way back then already in an age where my doctor, who was an excellent surgeon, he said to me, listen, you will lose your function in his hand, because by the time the nerve is regrown, your muscle will be gone. And I proved him wrong, and I will not be a Swiss watchmaker, but the hand is working, and I'm super happy. So this is what I see when you trust and when you open your heart and follow something that you cannot see. And as we know, we see about 10% of the color spectrum, and still we believe that this is our reality. So your heart knows more, and I can only be a witness for this. So trust your heart, go inward. And I think this is the core of my experience, to tune into especially this frequency of 520 hertz. By exploring the power of the little Lovetuner and connecting your exhale to the power of 520 hertz, we literally figured out that it's a very profound meditation. I never recommend people to shortcut their meditation or whatever spiritual hygiene they are practicing to be zen and centered and balanced. But love tuning really becomes a shortcut. So it's something where you cannot escape. You use the tuner, as I showed earlier, and you exhale to the tuner. You do a conscious breathing break, and the audio, the tone, gives you actually a feedback on your breath work. And at one point in this breath work, the tone takes over. And this is where you have this experience of total relaxation, getting retuned and going really in a state of meditation. And I always call it, we talk about mindfulness, I call it the mind emptiness. So it's like really this minutes a day where you have no thought. You're firing 75,000 thoughts a day. And this couple of minutes, what the Lovetuner gives you in an easy way, this is what literally rebalances you, retunes you, and gives you a different perspective, makes you more focused, and also, makes you a little bit more chill. And this is an easy way to do it. So love tuning literally shortcuts meditation and makes it easy.
Everyone asks the same thing first. Why 528 hertz? What is it about this specific frequency that matters?
I mean, first of all, it's not a man-made frequency, and it's the most dominant frequency of the so-called solfeggio frequencies. I mean, if you want to dig deeper into it, Google it or go on our homepage. We have a science page where it shows a lot of experiments about all those frequencies that are relevant. And the 528 hertz frequency is just so dominant for us because it's called the love frequency, and it's a divine frequency. So whatever other frequencies you're using, like we are just launching a multi-frequency tuner for therapists, and there's obviously 174, what is great for pain relief and whatnot. But the 528 hertz is this universal frequency that occurs in every living matter. You have it in the humming of the bees, you have it in the chlorophyll of the leaves of a tree. So this is why, for example, plants are green, because on the light spectrum, 528 hertz is green. So it's something that we need to understand. It's not something, it's not an app, it's not like something that I created or man created. It's really a divine frequency, and that makes this frequency so extremely special.
For someone who has never heard of it, how would you explain what the Lovetuner does in one breath?
So what it does basically is, as it's not a breathing straw. It's not just something that helps you learn how to do breath work, because there's so many modalities where you don't need a tool for it. You can box breathing, Wim van Hof. I mean, there's hundreds out there. They can go to the Buddhist monks. There's a lot of stuff with breath work where you don't need a tool. But what the Lovetuner does, it uses your breathing to reset your nervous system. But as soon as you use it, there's this frequency, and this frequency literally vibrates within you and even goes like up to 8 feet out of your body. So it's like 2.5 meters. So you create this sound carpet around you, what also makes it very powerful to connect to other people. Because breath work, you don't connect, you do it for yourself. With Lovetuner, and this is like my mission actually, you connect. And you connect not only to the universe, but you also connect to the people around you. You are literally feeding a frequency into Mother Earth. So it's a take and give. It's one spiral, and we all are important to raise the frequency. And our planet is doing it. Look at the Schumann frequency in the last like 10 to 15 years. It's raising and raising, and that makes it also uncomfortable for some people where they don't understand what's going on. Everything was so cool, and now I'm stressed out and things don't make sense. Yes, because the planet is basically telling you, get out of your old comfort zone and step out of your comfort zone and really experience something that can help you raise your frequency. Do it consciously, do it in a mindful way.
Most wellness tools ask you to add something to your day. The Lovetuner works with something you already do every moment, breathing. Why is that important to you?
Breath is our best friend. We come in this world and the first thing we do is inhale, and the last thing we do is exhale. And in between, it's our best regulator for our nervous system, for our well-being. But we don't do it consciously, or not very often. So a lot of people just do shallow breathing through all the day. And this builds anxiety, don't get enough oxygen into your brain. And this is also the component when people believe or think that, for example, vaping or smoking a cigarette is a release. If tobacco or whatever it is doesn't have so many chemicals, it would actually be a good breath work, because for a lot of people, it's the first inhale, conscious inhale, and they fill up the lung, they exhale, and give some relaxation. So this is why breathing is so underrated, and then we come up and we go to breathwork classes, and the Lovetuner just makes it so easy, because you're doing it all the time, you're breathing already, and it's a great reminder. You just go like, okay, now I connect your frequency, and the breathwork actually becomes secondary. Over time, you will recognize that you're actually extending your exhale, and when you extend your exhale, we have some top athletes and watermen that are exhaling up to 1.5 minutes, what is tremendously long, and has nothing to do with holding your breath, because those people can stay underwater for minutes, but to really consciously exhale and keeping one note, one tone till it breaks. If you can do this for nearly 1.5 minutes, that's an amazing lung capacity.
What actually happens to the body when someone exhales through the Lovetuner?
What it actually does is, as soon as you start exhaling to the tuner, it starts right away a tone, the tone of 520 hertz. This little single tone flute starts vibrating. This vibration goes into your body, and it aligns your water molecules in your body. And this is actually the first research that we have done when we came up with this idea. And we went back to Emoto's book, where he was actually testing what prayers, what swear words and whatnot can do to water. And the 520 hertz frequency actually restructures water. And what this means to us as humans is we are like 75–80% water. Our blood is 91% water. So as soon as we're exposed to this frequency, we align our water molecules in our body, and that gives you the feeling of relaxation. And this is a physical process, what is happening. So it's basically declustering your water molecules and aligning them to a perfect hexagonal shape like a mountain spring. And it also gives you this feedback on your breathwork. And this is the most prominent thing. So you know exactly, I'm breathing right or is something wrong? Because as soon as you lose the volume that you need to do a conscious breathing break and a perfect breathing break, you get this audible feedback.
People reach for the Lovetuner in different moments. Where have you seen it help the most?
When people start tuning, it always feels great. So this is what I mean. I tuned with thousands of people in person, in seminars and whatnot, in one-on-one sessions. But what everybody told me is it feels instantly great. So no matter if you're like spiritually advanced or if you're just curious, it really touches you. You feel the sensation on a physical level, not only on a spiritual level. But what the most important thing is to stay with it, to really go through it, because the Lovetuner transforms a lot within you. So you will also feel something what you don't want to feel. It's not always that we feel great, and especially when stuff gets transformed, stuff what is sitting on a cellular level in our body, or what we just don't want to look at. Some people call it shadow work. That's important. So you might get sad through a process, and then it's important that you tune through it, because it's always brighter on the other side when you get out of it. So first of all, you feel amazing. It feels good for everybody, and then you need to stick with it, because this is when you work through stuff. And I have seen it with a lot of people to help them basically to regulate their system and not to get stressed out. So this is like the first thing. So before you even reach anxiety, before you have a panic attack, so you feel something is coming up in you, you feel all the signals, you're rushing into a meeting, or even if you don't have a meeting, if something comes up that irritates you, when your mind goes sideways, the Lovetuner and the power of the 528 Hertz frequency in combination with breathwork brings you right back. So this is why we called it a tuner. So it tunes you, it retunes you like an instrument. What is out of tone, you retune it, you readjust it. And this is what I think is the most profound results what I've seen in people, and the most feedbacks what I got is literally, hey, I'm retuning myself. I'm getting right back into balance. And we're not talking about crazy anxieties, because you catch it before it even happens. And if you're already suffering from trauma, and if you have already extreme anxiety, it really helps you. It's something that can heal, like, yes, on one hand, it's prevention, what is anyway the best thing we can do, but it's a real healer. So if you're already suffering from trauma, anxiety, suicidal thought, all this stuff can be regulated again, and you become your own guru. And this is just, it takes way more effort, obviously, to heal something, or you prevent something. But I have seen it with a lot of veterans that have been suffering from PTSD. I've seen it in the children education system, what in my opinion is should be anyway reinvented. But yes, so what we're doing unconsciously to ourselves, or what we're doing to our children, or whatever, our partners, this is exactly what we can unwind. And Lovetuner is a beautiful solution, on one hand to prevent, and on the other hand to help you when you need healing.
What do you say to someone who hears 528 Hertz and instantly thinks it sounds too good to be true?
I'm doing this for so long that I don't, there's haters, there's skeptics out there. I just say one thing: if you always need a scientific proof, if you don't follow history, science comes always too late. So things are already working for a long time, and the skeptic that needs the scientific proof till he believes it. I mean, on the other hand, we look at the medical system, we see ads on TV and they tell you for 20 seconds that you can get a stroke and whatnot, and you still buy it. So it's very relative, And people also need to get out of their arrogant or off their arrogant horse and go like, oh, what is the science? How does it prove me? I mean, for some people, maybe it's just not for them. They're just not in resonance, and there's other modalities what they use, and that's fine with me. But overall, I think what we should have, and this is what are the children in us, that we are curious about it, and if you see that some stuff is not working, then maybe try some alternatives. And I always say, like, you have the biggest critics in the people that are actually scared, because it's a very tough experience for an intellectual person or a person that just narrow minds themselves to go out of their head into their heart, because this is where life really happens. That is where emotions are. This is where we connect as humans. So if you measure, for example, the heart frequency, and what you can measure is when hearts meet, how curious they get. We want to connect instantly on a heart level. What separates us is very often, our mind, our intellect, and whatnot. And I said, skepticism is great. I mean, yes, don't run after every esoteric gimmick, and don't follow everybody that tells you he has the clue how to save your life, because nobody knows how to save your life. You can only help yourself, and it's all about self-empowerment. And the most important thing is, before you're a skeptic against something, just ask yourself, how authentic is your life? Are you really living to the fullest self that you can be, the best version? So authenticity is even more powerful than the frequency of love, because there is no power of love if you're not authentic, because it cannot even land, So be authentic, tune into yourself, and then see what is in vibration with you. This is what I say to skepticism, because we have seen it thousands of times that, science is just, always behind.
This is not a 30-day program or an app. How quickly can someone actually feel the difference?
I mean, you feel the difference right away. So we recommend like 6 breathing cycles, inhaling through your nose, exhaling to the Lovetuner, making this low audible tone of 528 hertz, and then inhale again. So what I said earlier is, like, we have people that exhale for a long time, but it's more important that it feels good for you. It's not a competition. Just exhale till you feel the relief, and then do this 6 times, and then sit for a half a minute in silence. And in the silence is anyway the real power. So you feel it right away. So no matter if you give this to a kid, no matter if it's an adult or a senior, it will help you. We did many studies. The last recent one was actually with a neuroscientist from Santiago de Chile, and he has a special helmet, costs nearly $100,000, that measures basically what's happening in your brain. And we have already many scientifically researches published on our homepage, where it literally shows that love tuning actually can enhance your vital signals up to 96%. The newest study that we're going to publish relatively soon now measured from many participants literally their brain activity. And what happens on a graphical level is unbelievable. How it stimulates your nervous system and how it stimulates your brain waves. So it's something very, very profound. And if you want to see true results right away, find a person that you can tune with, your family member, your partner, whoever you're next to, your best friend. Just say, listen, let's tune together. And if you feel this connection on a heart level, then you have the best results already. And from there on, it just gets better and better.
Who is the Lovetuner really for? Someone deep in a spiritual practice, or someone just trying to get through a stressful Tuesday?
When I started with Lovetuner, I also tapped into a community of yogis and very elevated, conscious people. And they had already all the modalities that helps them. And for me, this was not the core people that I wanted to have. And obviously I was happy everybody that came, that tapped into the Lovetuner and also gave me the feedback that it's amazing, and they already had experiences with meditation. But for me, it was something that I saw what's really going on? What is really happening in our society? And the most important thing was for me, the regular person that has a very normal life, has no modalities, and just follows their job, follows whatever people need to do to provide, from family dads to single moms, whatever is out there, where they don't have the tools and they don't have the time. And they're also sometimes too scared because a lot of our so-called gurus out there make it very complicated, and they're drawing people in books and in smart conversations. I get all this, but this is not what the person that is stressed out and that needs a quick reset needs. So for me, it was always the person. We live I live outside of LA, but obviously I have to go to town. I know the 405 well since many, many years. And everybody that has been on this highway at one point experienced crazy traffic. And I always said, like, what is it if you live here and you have a stressful day, you're heading home to your family or to your beloved ones, and then you're stuck in traffic, and this is like the last thing you need on this day, and then you arrive at home with a certain frequency. So how beautiful would it be if this person starts tuning either before it enters the house or while it's driving, because it's not going to make you arrive earlier or just like, dissolves the traffic you're sitting in, but it helps you, to reset, to rebalance, and this is what it is. So the perfect user for me for the Lovetuner is somebody that is curious enough to do it and goes like, listen, I need a fast solution. I want to have this thing around my neck, and even if I don't want to show it, I hide it behind a t-shirt, but I use it as my secret weapon to balance myself and tune in with myself and the world around me.
How does tuning with the Lovetuner fit into a normal day? Walk us through when and where you use yours.
I'm from a generation when I went to high school, we had like these radio speakers that woke you up, and then you had like a horrible song, or sometimes you had a great song, and it was kind of in your ear all day long. And this is what I recommend people is, before you're really awake, before you're like totally there, use the Lovetuner, have it somewhere next to you, and just make 1 or 2 tunes. Just tune in to set the frequency for the day. And this doesn't need to be a long session. You don't have to try to meditate. Just enjoy the tone itself. And then, you go through your day, and whatever your routine is, like maybe you work out in the morning, maybe you go on a walk or you go on a run. And when you do this, this is where you should find a calm place and do consciously the 6 breathing cycles or whatever time you have. And maybe you sit longer even. So the more you tune, the better it is. And then you go through the day, and then we all notice in the afternoon our biorhythm slows down. We feel a little bit of a hang, and this is where you just like retune. And also when stressful situations come up, it's like, it's not that you always have to find the perfect place, Sometimes I do it even. I walk somewhere, I'm going into an office building, and I tune, or I board a plane. I mean, I don't have a flight anxiety, but it feels great. You sit in there, you relieve all the stress from the airport, and you just do a breathing cycle. You tune into this frequency and it resets you. And this doesn't need to be 5 minutes. It can be like 1 tone, 1 tune. And then what I really recommend is at the end of the day to take your time again, similar to meditation. So the morning tune, where you do at least 6 cycles, and the evening tune to end the day and, like to reset. This is important.
You talk about this as more than a product. What is the bigger movement you are trying to build with Lovetuner?
So for me, it's like, been living in different cultures, different continents. I always came down to one thing, that we are so similar and we are still so separate, and the culture I'm coming from is like, we have an opinion about everything, and at one point we thought we invented the wheel, and then you come to a country like the United States that are so young, and people, just different, but what I've seen all around the world, wherever I traveled, is that we are so similar. We all love the same thing. We all want to be connected, and this is why the Lovetuner movement, to building these communities, to really reaching out from heart to heart, to awaken one heart at a time. This is what drives me in this mission, and it's all about really connecting and overcoming, separation and polarity. And I know that this sounds very out there, but if we awaken enough souls, this can happen in a very short amount of time. And I know we are doing this for a long time, and we had the hippie movement. We had so many things through history where we saw like, oh, this is overcoming whatever you want to call it, the matrix or the system. At the end of the day, it's all an illusion. And if we can connect, and if we really carve out what makes humans, I think this is the core vision for myself, and this is why I think with the Lovetuner as a tool, it can elevate this connection, and it can really help to unify humanity.
If everyone in the world used the Lovetuner once a day, what do you believe would change?
I think, first of all, we are all connected on the planet that we are living on, like the mycelium network underground. And we also have the morphogenetic field, where we know that we are connected. We know we are going there. This is where we travel to. And this is where we are all connected. And if we have the ability to do this consciously, like knowing what you're doing, then this will really help us to elevate not only the planet, but to elevate consciousness. And this is the only way out of the chaos where we're in right now. And I'm not even talking about the current political solution. It's going on for way too long. I don't believe in a political solution. I believe in a spiritual revolution. And this is also the reason why we actually came up with the 520 Hertz Day. So it's the 28th of May. We just had a big tuning day where a lot of people tuned in, either online or in groups. And I even let this whole thing go. It's like not even important for me anymore. We have team riders around the world that have been organizing beautiful group tunings. And I think this is what makes it our vision come true, basically. This is exactly what we need. People consciously tuning into 520 hertz with the intention of love, and connecting humanity.
And that's all for our Q&A session today with Lovetuner founder Sigmar Berg. Thank you so much. Would you like to add any sort of messages to our community?
Yeah, like always, stay tuned, really tune in, and listen to this Q&A, but more important is what your heart tells you.